Hey y'all, it is July the 7th, 2018. You might can't tell right now, but it's raining. It's raining in front of me. Probably still can't tell. It's raining lightly. Got Bella over here and she's freaking out. Y'all wanted to make a short video and I'll probably wind up elaborating on it or touching base on certain details. As I tend to do, I'll probably do that, in the future. But I wanted to make this short video right now before I get, situated and get my thoughts together. I want to make a short video in regards to Philip Andrew, all right, that man, J.K. Phillip. He made a video, and he made a few videos, 3 or 4 videos, and I'm gonna see the rest pretty soon. And I've seen one, and it's in pertaining to, in a sense, in Parkland. And Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, Nikolas, Cruz, the whole thing, what we've been going through. It's very interesting. I found it very intriguing. I love it when people do video responses on this and that. And before we get into it, sometimes, when you're doing video things, you might wonder, what all you should be saying, what you should not be saying. It's a good idea to just go for it because you never know when you might say something important. You never know, even if you think it's unimportant, maybe somebody else will find it very important. You never know. So I think Philip Andrew does an excellent job at that, at just letting it come rolling off and things of this nature. I think he does a superb job. And I'm very, intrigued by his style. All right. I want to talk about what he was talking about as far as Nick Cruz, as far as Parkland. All right. I want to reiterate that not just himself, but a lot of people out there, to include Killer Gamer, whose video was taken down. She probably took it down, either out of her parents, and I can't blame them. But I still have the video of her talking about Nick Cruz and the whole situation. And it seems so Philip Andrew has a tendency to agree with her sentiment. And in that, when you think about Parkland, when you think about Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, the ultimate lesson for anybody to take away from this is bullying is a serious deal. All right, isolation's bad. Right, and not to even get into it too much, but you got the Me Too movement. It's got Terry Crews on it now. I've seen that. And so it's gaining more legitimacy in that sense. The whole idea of bullying, the whole idea of dominance, dominating over people, manipulating people, being a narcissist, bullying people and stuff. Everybody's getting the idea that that's not good. And the thing is, unfortunately, for those Parkland students, the dozen or so who's on a tour bus all around the nation, they do have a lot of fans and supporters, but those who are not their fans and supporters, well, they find them to be bullies. Period. I mean, you're not coming to the table and talking to anybody. You're not discussing. You're not, what I'm saying? You're not having a conversation. What you're doing is yelling at other people who you disagree with. And certainly, there's people on the other side who are very pro-gun, who are very Second Amendment, constitutional America, whatever you want to call it. And they're doing the same thing. There's certain people on the other side, right-wing, conservative, whatever you want to call it, who are sitting back and yelling and calling y'all names. Understand that they're bullies too, and I don't really vouch for either one of y'all, man, because y'all are bullies. Ultimately, if you don't want to be a bully, you need to come to the table and discuss things with words like a human being adult. All right? So that's where we're getting at. You're seeing Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. You're seeing a dozen of these students. And there's thousands in the school. You're seeing a dozen make a damn fool out of themselves every week on a weekly basis. Just trying to be bullies. They didn't learn their lesson from earlier. I heard Emma Gonzalez talk about, oh man, we bullied him, but you didn't know. You didn't know this kid. That was her excuse. All right, so that is the main thing to take away from this. It truly is. But there's other underlying sentiments. Like there's lessons to be learned all over the place, I think, from what I've seen in this case. It's a very interesting case. And I want to talk about a constituency of people that you might know or you might have heard about, you might have gotten wind of. they, this group of people might be fans of Nick Cruz. It might be in the Nick fam, if you heard of that. Nick Cruz fan clubs, this and that. Sending him letters in the mail to jail, which he's not getting, by the way. They're not letting him have those letters, the fan letters and things of this nature. There's a lot of people out there who will express the sentiment of there's a buildup to this whole thing, the whole situation where everybody got shut up. Sure, the shooting up is bad. That's real bad. That's the worst. But the buildup, the bullying, the isolation, all right? That is in some people's eyes, that's the most crucial element, right? What I gotta explain is for those Nick fammers, for the people in the Nick fan club, for the people who are talking about all the bullying that Nick had incurred, those people, although they're grasping onto the largest concept, the biggest lesson to be learned from here, they're also, unfortunately, totally missing it in a sense. And I want to tell you why that is. Those people, like I said, the sentiment is don't blame Nick, blame the people who bullied Nick his whole life and things of that nature. What's wrong with him? What's wrong with those people? But at the same time, what they're failing to understand and pay attention to is that it's possible that Nick Cruz didn't do this. Or it's even possible that Nick Cruz shot up a whole bunch of people but didn't shoot up all the people. That these things are very possible, and it's being overlooked by that constituency of people. They're looking at Nick as a victim, and in a sense you could easily look at him that way, and they're taking sympathy for him. They're saying, they don't agree with what he did, but you can see how he did what he did. All right. In a sense, they're working against Nick Cruz because from what I've seen, from what I've gathered, it's probably not the case. All right. It's 1,000,000 to 1 that he did what allegedly he supposedly did. All right. And what I got to explain also is not only are they missing the base a little bit because it's possible that he didn't do it. They're just assuming that he did do it. All right. Not only that, but you have that sort of constituency of people who probably wouldn't want to see Nick Cruz go down the path of a death penalty trial. Now, if you're concerned or if you're invested in the situation, you'll understand that there's been many articles, many publications have discussed this exact very thing, whether or not Nick Cruz should get a death penalty trial. So you can imagine that most people on the Nick Cruz fam, the Cruz fam, the Nick fam, those people, they don't want to see a death penalty trial. All right, or anything like that. Most of them don't, but you have to understand what I want to explain, what a lot of people are missing, and I want to put it out there just so that everybody either has a chance to agree with what I'm saying or consider it. The last thing in the world that Nick Cruz wants right now is not a death penalty trial. He wants that death penalty trial. I promise you. I looked at all the angles. There's no way that Nick Cruz doesn't want the death penalty trial, even if he doesn't know it. All right. He basically needs that death penalty trial, and we're going to discuss that in a second. But before we do, I want to say this. Irregardless, I want to dwell on this because a lot of people they're not understanding it yet. Either that or, they're kind of ignoring this. Irregardless of where we go from here, it don't matter. It don't matter if Nick Cruz was released from jail today. Nick Cruz's life is ruined. As he knew it, that's done for. They ain't never going back from this. You understand? You've been all over the headlines, this and that. They raked you over the coals and stuff. You're never going to have the life. Nick Cruz, it's impossible for Nick Cruz to have the life that he was about to live. All right? And it's dang near impossible that he gets out of this situation alive, if I'm going to be honest with you. All right? There's a lot of people, there's a lot of factors in this. So it's dang near impossible that he gets out of this situation alive, period. All right, so with that being said, Nick Cruz wants a death penalty trial. He wants that. And that sounds counterintuitive. It certainly sounds that way. The reason I say that is because from what I've understood, from what I'm being told, as far as how a trial would go if it was a death penalty trial or if it was not a death penalty trial, is a death penalty trial would have to include all sort of evidence. All sort of evidence. I'm talking about full investigation. And you might have heard that from Pam Bondi and a lot of different people who are looking for a full investigation. We're talking about the governor of Florida might want himself a full investigation. A death penalty case would include a full investigation. That's what Nick Cruz wants. Because if Nick Cruz does not get that, if he's able to plead guilty and this and that, and the courts are able to seal up all the documents and settle out of, settle out of the public eye, if that's possible, if they do that, and know that Nick Cruz's defense attorneys, Howard Finkelstein and his crew of flunkies, all right, that's exactly what they want. They want the exact opposite of what Nick Cruz wants. All right, even if Nick Cruz doesn't know it, Nick Cruz wants that death penalty trial for sure. He wants the evidence to come out because otherwise it ain't going to come out. And I do want to draw attention to the fact is that, there's people out there to include the family of victims, like an Andrew Pollock. For example, they get wrecked over the coals too. All right, and you have to understand that during the death penalty trial, usually their life gets turned inside out and is made into a nightmare, basically. For people like Andrew Pollock, that is what happens. And that's not only unfortunate, but that's, I don't know if you say over the top retarded. That's what's retarded about our system, is that it further victimizes victims. Right? And it claims that it does that out of legitimacy. It really doesn't, because this whole thing's illegitimate. All right, but at the same time, Nick Cruz wants that death penalty trial. I don't know if it's going to happen at all, anyways. But before we get out of here, as important and as crucial as this situation is to a lot of us, we're very invested. We want to see, we want to know. We don't think Nick Cruz is guilty of what they said he's guilty of. As important as that is, and as much as I'm invested, as much time as I put into it, what I want to emphasize before we get out of here is that it's still, believe it or not, it's still very much meant as a distraction. And that's the long and short of it. I mean, as intense and as intriguing as this situation is, as much as it's stomping all over our rights to due process, which it is still a distraction, dude. That's what's worse. That's what's worse. It's meant to be a distraction. They mean to keep stringing it along, and that's the point. Who's they? I don't know. We're going to have to figure it out. But what I'm here to tell you is you ain't going to see hardly any developments at all. They're going to kick the can down the road, talk about this and that, but nothing really concerning Parkland. They're not going to discuss any of the evidence that we want them to. Not at all. Not at all. They're going to spoon feed us little baby bits of information. And meanwhile, they're just waiting. Who's they? I don't know. Not to figure it out. But they're just waiting, I'm here to tell you. They're not going to do a damn thing. They're biding time. Like I said, there's a cover-up and there's biding time. So they're biding time until when? November. I say, well, why November? That's midterm elections. That's why. That's what this is all about. And it's disgusting. Wrecking this kid over the coals, all sort of illegitimacy, all sort of incompetence, all sort of people dropping the ball, to include the FBI, the sheriff's office, the school board, the school security, everybody dropping the ball. All right, and it's not to say everybody's in on some sort of conspiracy, but what I'm here to tell you is they're going to kick this can down the road till past November, and until November, all they're going to be talking about is this and that, and Nick Cruz and blah blah blah. We need to get guns off the streets. We need to get people to the voting booths. We need to get people to the voting booths. That's all that counts here. You think, how is it connected? It's very much connected. It was always connected. Always. It was always connected. And so that's what they're going to try to do. Keep reminding us, we're bad, we don't deserve no rights. We don't deserve no due process. We don't deserve this, that, or the other. We deserve nothing. All right? but we deserve to come out to vote away all our rights and our guns. That's what they want us to do. And in the meantime, let me tell you something. It's summertime. It's summertime. You think Parkland's the last incident? You think Parkland's going to be the last extremely questionable incident where we have a lot of casualty on our hands? Before November. You think so? You think there's not another distraction that they have up their sleeve? Think so. All right, well, we're just going to wait here, sit here and find out. We shall see. We shall see, and I'm keeping my eye on Philadelphia, unfortunately, and I hope nothing comes of that. I hope nothing comes of it, but I'm keeping my eye on Philadelphia. I'll holler at y'all a little bit later, like I said. As far as Philip J.K., he really touched on the main issue, which is bullying, which is isolation, which is by design. When you think of your public schools and things of that nature, that is the design. All right? It is meant to nurture psychopaths and bullies, believe it or not. All right, but at the same time, there's more details than that. The what's, whys, and hows aren't adding up. They haven't added up since day one. All right, so it's much more deeper than just the typical, stereotypical, you might say, because Philip J.K. said it. He said, you know what, this is a typical, and that's why he believes Nick Cruz did it. He said, you know, this is a typical guy. I mean, this is the stereotype of who might do it. First of all, I still am not won over on that, be honest with you, because he's a soft-spoken little guy who people called Fragile Nick. He's a guy who did not live in misery. All right, he talked to girls. He had them in his room. All sort of stuff. All right, none of this close to make sense. He's a stereotypical guy. Well, I'll give you that. That's why they used him in the way that they did. All right, that's what all the evidence points to. Anyways, I'll holler at y'all a little bit later. It's July 7th, 2018.